Hello, hello, everyone. Yay, welcome to Money, Sex, and God. I'm so happy to be here. And I'm bringing on a dear friend, someone who is kicking ass on the other side of the country, doing the similar stuff that I'm doing over here on the East Coast. And it just makes me so excited to see you blossoming and leading your tribe of heart ninjas. So without further ado, Emily Orum, can you tell the troops a little bit about who you are?
Ah. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. It's good to be here. In all honesty, I'm feeling a little nervous here. So here I am, raw, vulnerable, and I feel really privileged to be on here with you, Genevieve. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Mm.
In short, I help or support people to awaken and inspire consciousness through the power of love, sex, and play.
Mm.
I just feel like I've spent so many years trying to figure out how to hone in and talk about what I do, and it's really nice just to get it down to a
That's
couple
it.
sentences.
And that's totally it. Like that fucking resonates so much. So yes, thank you. Thank you. As with all money, sex, and gods, the first thing that we do is we do pleasure first. We drop into our body first. So I'm going to lead us, and everyone who's watching, I invite you to close your eyes and join us in this. And take a moment to first place your hands over your heart and feel your breath. Feel how your chest caresses the palms of your hands as you inhale, and feel how the out breath makes love to your spine. Start to notice how that caressing, that gentle touch invites really, really small movement, almost so small that like I wouldn't be able to see that you're even moving. Little subtle movement. And as you move, feel the weight of your hands. Maybe the breath brings more movement, and maybe it brings your hands to move along your body, maybe massaging your body slowly, and finding some juiciness and yumminess, knowing that we get to take all the time in the world to just drop into pleasure before we do anything. Find the places on your skin and on your body that want to be especially honored. And take a few breaths to give them that honoring. Feel how you do that, how love gets to pour through your hands onto your being. Then we'll take both arms all the way up. Let's stretch them up in the air and just feel really long. Get really long. Stretching is so sexy. No one ever talks about how sexy stretching is. Awesome. And then come on back. And those of you that are watching the live stream, type in what your body's feeling. Give us some body reveals so we can feel you with us. I'm feeling, I just had a sound activation session before this. I'm feeling really rooted and like in love with my body at this moment, like tingles everywhere in my skin and like heaviness in my legs. And it's really yummy. Yay.
I feel that. I feel the congruency of when you were giving the transmission. I'm like, oh yeah, she's already embodied and tapped in. In all honesty, sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes you get on, you're like rushing from, just taking your kid to school, and you like, again, are dropping in at the moment, right? That you're asking everyone else to drop in. and I could feel it. I'm like, damn, she's like, she's really tapped in before. And I was so grateful because when I came on here, my heart was beating so fast. My energy's here.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much for just bringing me into my body and bringing in that just pleasure and that love. It felt so good.
Isn't it cool how it always seems to work out like that, right? Like I often think that I have to do this all by myself, right? And so I'll go to show up at a workshop and I'll feel frantic, or I'll feel, and I'm like, oh God, how am I going to ground and get into my body before I do the thing? And, how am I going to do my VIP day with my client? And then like, sometimes it's like the hotel bar staff will just like ground me. And I'm like, how did you do that? Right. Like the universe just shows up and you just get it. And then when I'm in this space, right, of feeling, I feel really delicious today, that's going to be the opportunity. People are going to come at me with their, and I'll be like, yeah, hey, I got you.
I love that. I love that because when I used to be very, I would say spiritual, I used to think before I do anything, before I do a session, I have to have an hour or like, and I have to do it all right and like light the fucking candles, sage myself, like move around. And I've kind of let that go now. And I just, because I trust myself and I trust that I have allies like you that can bring me and hold me and I don't have to do it necessarily all myself. So I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's relating, right? And so it means what we'll be talking a lot about is just, for a long time since my kind of big spiritual awakening, relating was tricky, because I was like, I kind of just want to do everything by myself, right? I kind of just want to float up here in like nothing land where no one exists. Like this would be way more fun. And then and very recently, honestly, over the past couple months, working with couples and then in my own personal life, I'm finding some of the gifts of relating, right? And finding some of the gifts of loving, and I never saw them before. So tell us, what's your experience? I mean, you're the love, I think of you and I think of love, right? So tell us about like love and relating and how it shows up in your world and how you get to play.
Wow. Well, I want to say in the last 6 or 7 months, I committed to a new primary partner, Michael Author. And honestly, I say to him every day, you are my teacher of love. Because he really has a devotion that I really feel that I hadn't had. I'm a very sovereign, independent.
Right.
I'm a deep lover,
Right.
but I've kind of operated more from I'm going to do my own thing. We'll relate. We'll have deep dives, but I'm just going to kind of do my own thing and very like protect my independence.
Yep.
And part of that is my constitution, but part of that's kind of my wounding, just and
Mm-hmm.
also my attachment style. I lean more on the avoidant side.
Yeah.
Um, so he just really is like all about the dedication and devotion of love, even through the hard stuff. He's like, I'm here. Let's do this. Like, I know it's challenging, but we're not going to give up. Like it's through all of it, we are dedicated to lean into devotion and to
Mm-hmm.
growth. And his dedication to devotion and love is masterful, which asks me to step up and reflects a lot of my shadow,
Mm-hmm.
where I become walled or I'm like, no, I'm just going to go and relate with this person. There's tension here, so I'm going to go here.
I think that's, this conscious relating concept, right? Of energetic attunement. So it doesn't mean, I haven't really said this live, but I jumped into a primary relationship. Didn't jump. No, that's not true. I didn't jump in. I went, and then I went, all right, fine. That's what that was like. That's the truth there. Because like you, sovereign individual, built my entire life up on my own ability to marry internally my own desires with, right? Like, and I am strong by my, like, and not only strong, but like I love being by myself, right? So this is a new thing for me. But what I'm noticing is kind of like what you're talking about is in partnership and in relating, it's kind of like us just starting this live, like we find someone who's attuned to the places where we are not yet attuned, right? And there's this like dance of, wow, I don't know that place. And sometimes it does this, right? I just had an experience before this call where I called my partner and her energy was not where I wanted it to be. It was not attuned. And I was like, hey, I gotta go. Like, love you to pieces. Like, let's talk tomorrow. But and that's okay, right? We can't, that's okay. So, and I think this is a piece where codependency can come in sometimes, of like trying to fix the person to make them drop into a place that we want them to be at, right? For our self-serving desires. Or it's where we could go shut a wall off and be like, well, now you're like this and I'm like this, so I can't be around you. So I'm sure you've had these stories with Michael. So I just want to hear them because I think it normalizes it for everyone.
I love that. And I really feel, again, that the word that just always comes up is the titration of the dance. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, energetic attunement and being with what arises. And how do we lean in, but not lean out of our integrity based on where we are in the moment, you know? And like, just the other day, I think I mentioned we hit a big kind of bump. I was frustrated. A lot's been going on. Big financial growing pains, a lot of investment money going out. So like my survival stuff. I have a lot of survival core wounding around, will I be okay? Will I survive?
Mm-hmm.
Especially around money. And it runs way back. And so I was just feeling a lot. I tend to manage a lot of emotions until I'm like, can cap off,
Mm-hmm.
you know, right? I got these clients, I got this, I got this, I got this. I don't fucking got it. You know? And so then it was just like, he's like, how can I help? I'm like, you can't help me. Like I was just at the place where I just needed to let that anger and that rage out and just be in that place, not try to fix it, not try to do anything about it. And he basically, you know, was with me a little bit, but then said about 30 minutes later, I just can't be around your energy field. I'm trying to connect and feel connected in myself. I can't connect in myself right now. And then he cried. And instead of me trying to rescue him, I said, thank you, babe. I love you. Let's take some space. It sounds like some space would be good for you. Let's recalibrate when we're both a little more tuned. I'm sorry. I'm just here and I don't feel connected even really to myself.
Mm,
So let's come back when we're both more resourced,
right.
you know? And so again,
And to make that okay.
yeah, could I sit here and make it wrong and bad and blah, blah, blah? Yeah, but I'm not going to do that. You know?
Yeah. And yeah.
Go ahead.
And I'm just saying, like, because sex is where I play, right? And because it shows up in sex all the time too, where we're in our own sexual shit, right? Like they're in their trauma, your partner might be in their trauma, and then we go, oh my God, I got to make it about me, and blah, 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 and then I got to fix them, and sometimes it's like, hey, do you just want to lie next to each other and masturbate? Like, this is not, we're not attuned right now. Like, we're just not fixed. We're not getting there. And that's okay, right? So I think a lot of people think that conscious relating looks like always knowing how to, you know, please your partner an orgasm every time, or always knowing how to, oh, if she's about to explode, I know exactly where to press on her back so that she'll just melt into my arms, right? Like, I think that's what's placed upon our community as this idealism. And I love,
I love that. I love that.
yeah,
And can I share something
yeah,
vulnerable? Um,
please.
so last night, I always go with what's the most alive.
Yeah.
So me and Michael have been pretty like in work mode and in creation mode, and that can really sabotage often our turn on because a lot of our energy is going externally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we get like directive and masculine and
Yeah.
penetrative,
Right.
and we both get a little under resourced, and so we spend all this time and then we get together and then we're like, well, this is our time to not be sexy. And then literally we put pressure on ourselves and each other to be sexy, but our turn on is not flowing naturally because we're kind of under resourced.
Right.
So like we made that conscious last night. We're like, we're both putting pressure on each other that I should like be able to like start going down on you and just have
Right.
this energy and be turned on and to like initiate. And we're like, we're both not there. So we just basically, like, for the next hour, just let ourselves be there and just gently, energetically, just like started just like touching each other gently. And we're just like, this is lovemaking too,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly. I had this sound healing this morning and we were singing together at the end of it. And I was like, I just fucked you. Like, that was so beautiful. Like, that was sex. And she was like, yeah, it was. Right. Like, to release what we think sexuality is, what we think sexy is. I mean, doing that, you know, that it's like my thing. Because I just love when I have this all the time with my clients where they're lying back and they're feeling their eros for the first time, and they'll look at me and they'll go, is it okay for me to make this much noise? I must look crazy. How is this sexy? And I'm always like, babe, I promise, like, you right now in your element is like life itself. It's the sexiest thing, right? Because it's what we're craving. And I want you to speak to this because this is what originally drew me to you, Emily. Is this what we're craving as a society is authenticity, right? And you've got that down. You show up like you always have. And so can you speak a little bit about, like, first of all, I think people are like, how the fuck does she do it?
Well, I want to say one of the most, it's not talked about a lot, but one of the scariest emotions for me is being numb.
Mm.
And like I just got chills as I said that, just to presence that truth, because when a lot of us don't think of that as a feeling, I feel numb, but it is, but it's devoid of often feeling as some kind of sensation.
Mm-hmm.
But often what we have to do to be able to feel sensation is to presence that we feel numb,
Right.
to then just initiate and start the journey of our sensation and emotion to come online.
Mm.
And often when I'm numb, there's something that I'm disconnected from myself, my energetic eros, and my erotic energy in general. There's a way that I've been attuning too much to a project or something or someone, something external, some kind of externalized thing or mission, and I'm disconnected. I'm disembodied in a sense, and it comes off as numbness.
Mm.
And so that usually is an indicator, oh, it's time to drop in. It's time to really attune. It's time to feel. It's time to really presence and go slow and allow the numbness to be presenced. And then the sensations and emotions to unravel from there.
Mm.
And how do I not make any of it bad or wrong and allow it to be radically expressed and give it absolute permission as perfect and beautiful? While also recognizing where I am. Like if I have a bunch of rage, like I'm gonna probably not be on the streets of New York necessarily and just like go out in the middle
Right.
of like the street and just like, I mean, I
Right.
might, but I want to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like, I don't know when and how we imprinted this disallowance of what is, right? Like we're right. We were just like, it's not allowed. Nope. And I'm seeing it. My son's 4 years old and I'm seeing it start. Oh, you can't do that, mama. We're not allowed to do that. And I'm like, well, yes, we can. We can walk outside with bare feet on. Why can't we do that? Right. It's just this, it's
Yeah.
beginning. And it comes down to, right, we don't want to be kicked out of the tribe. So if we can't orgasm when our partner's trying to get us to orgasm, then they're going to leave us and then we're alone, right? If we feel too much in a setting where we're not supposed to feel, then we'll get kicked out of the tribe and we're alone, right? And we live in the same thing. And what's the reality? We can't be.
And I get often the other side of the spectrum because I am so expressive. So what I get from a lot of people is that I'm trying to hoard the energy to gain approval through the attention seeking of others by
Interesting.
sharing my actual energy or my emotions, that somehow I'm taking up too much space and I'm not leaving the space for other people. I've gotten that a lot. So it's an interesting one to like find empathy and acknowledgement, and also learn to titrate my own energy body and emotions and be like conscious of everyone else in the tribe, but to not let that to not let that go into a story of like I'm trying to get approval to feel like I'm like it's all about me or I'm taking space or but just to understand that this is a gift. This is a gift. I'm a permissionary. And how do I titrate my energetic release or emotions to also be considerate of the impact around others?
Right.
So it's a both and. It's not just I'm just gonna fucking be myself and feel like whoever I want. And like it's
Yeah.
also about titrating and being aware of the energetic and the relational whole. And that I honestly want to say amongst open relating,
Yeah. I was just thinking open relating. That's it.
that's where I want to see open relating go.
Yep.
Because a lot of open relating is a lot of people that are doing solo poly and that are like, I'm just doing it my way and this is the way I am. And if you don't fit within that context, then this is my boundaries. And which is it's okay. But I'm really interested to lean into these are my needs, these are your needs. How do we collectively
Right.
really find the dance together so we can find mutual harmony as best as possible?
That's, yeah. I mean, I'm in that. I'm in the early stages of, right. And we're like co-reading Ethical Slut again. And we're like, all right, like, what do we want to create? How can we maneuver this? And it's so, every time we're like, this is so beautiful, right? Because we get to look at, oh, that's one of my woundings. So let's be in that part of me and let's figure out what do I need to set up in the 3D world and where can I kind of push the edge there, right? So that I can feel that wounding and grow. I mean, it's just gorgeous. It's
Yeah, and
stunning.
I just want to say, like you said, we attract a partner to reflect the areas where we need to grow, which often
Right.
shows up as shadow. So, in open relating, I tend to be very much more fluid and able to bring in other people and to let go and to have experiences and let go. Michael really loves inclusion, like he wants to, and titration slowly.
That's who my partner is too. That's so funny.
Here I am, like
Right. We're like, ah!
yeah, there's like a couple I'm interested in connecting with, and I'm here. I am like I'm just maybe we'll share some sensuality and maybe some kissing, and but I just want to go out and have coffee with this couple. And Michael's like, wait, hang on, like I really want to for the four of us to meet this couple first, so I can get to know how they're relating, get to know them. And here I am. I got triggered. I'm like, what the fuck? Like this is why does this have to be so hard? Like why does he why And I'm like, okay, it's not like this is good. This is actually asking me to grow, to be more inclusive. And so, and it can be challenging as well because he also comes from poly trauma, a lot of poly trauma. So here I am coming in where I need to be also patient with his level of growth. So his system, and he says it's all a lot of it's about his animal body,
Right.
like his animal body can only titrate so much,
Yes.
where it's just like it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's not so much about the stories, it's that my animal body will start like going into this reaction, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it takes me an hour or two if it's a lot. And he's like, I fucking hate it. Do you think I want it to be this way? No. And this is what it is from my trauma, maybe a little bit might be from my upbringing. And for me, it's like, babe, I love you. I want to work with you. You
Yeah.
know,
And
as
so
hard
like,
as it is for me, I
yeah.
want to fucking make this work. And if it means us going out for coffee 4-way together before I can break off to have a sovereign date with this couple, then so be it.
Right. Right. I mean, it's so funny that you're saying that because we just had this same conversation and she was like, it's not the story, like the story we're on a jacuzzi having orgies and we're right, that's what I want to create. She's like, it's this part right here that like reacts, and that's the part I want to watch because I don't want it to distort or somehow disintegrate the foundation that we have. And I was like, my God, yeah, totally. Like, what do you need, babe? Like, you want me to only use my right hand, not my left hand? Like, that's fine. Like, wherever you're at, I will honor that part of you, even though we know it's not you. It's not the essence of you. The essence of you is this, right? Just like the essence of me is. But we all have parts that are going to fight and are going to retreat and are going to do those things. And that's the beauty of partnership and just sex and relating with other people is we can get really attuned to their nervous system and figure out like what dance do we want to play in this cycling, right? Which is just so fun.
Yeah, and how our other consorts, our beloved consorts, can really help us to create like a next level embodiment that we could never do
Yes.
alone, you know? And because when honestly, when we're in an open context and Michael's with me, he's like, fuck yeah, I want to do it with you. Like I want, he's very like so playful and so open when we're together, and he's very can be in group play. He's like, I just want to feel included. I want to feel like we
Yeah.
could do this together. And like,
Right.
and not that we have to engage necessarily always together, but he likes to be in the same room. He likes to
Yeah.
have some level of attunement of where I am. And, you know, and there's a part of me that's like, fuck, I don't always want that. And like, we're working it. We're working it.
Yeah, and it's a constant. I was just thinking this before we got on the call, like not just in love relationship, but in sex and in business and in friendship. The struggle is always that we forget that everything's changing all the time. Like we forget that. So we finally get sex. We're like, I got it. Okay, like I'm a kink master. And then all of a sudden your partner gets really sensitive and like doesn't want to be whatever, you know, and you're like, and then you get angry and then right. And it's like, wait, but change is actually like, look outside, look at the trees, look at the flowers, like that's what the fuck the world is. And we resist it in ourselves and we resist it everywhere else. And it's just awesome to witness and laugh at, really, which is kind of what I do
Yeah.
with it.
Love that. And I often say in openness and open relating, because that's kind of like I deal with a lot of people like figuring out I'm not mono, but what the fuck am I? And what is this? And I don't even know. And like, you know, is that openness? I say this line a lot. Openness is a spectrum that modulates and changes.
Yeah.
You know, and so can there can be that in monogamy, but there's a little bit more. It's a little bit more of a contained, closed container.
Right.
The openness, you know, there might be times where even, you know, Michael and I for a period of time might want to go mono for a month.
Right. Right.
Or like, you know, he might be traveling, and so there's a level of more sovereign playfulness and without him for some, or you know, or you know, it just there's so many different labels and so many different things that, and it changes depending on where we are, where our growth edge is, where our circumstantial life is.
And this change, this it's coming up for me a lot too around the the absurd conditioning that we are currently adopting around masculine feminine dynamics. And I mean, I remember you, Emily, when I was deep in the feminine place, and I was like, I can feel her waiting for me to to jump into the place where I wanted to play more fluidly with gender. Like I can feel your energy around it. Because there is also, it's a similar trap, right? Where we can't change, we can't like, I mean, I'm finding it now in being with a woman, and it's, I think, a big advantage to being with a woman is that we both can more fluidly move through the masculine feminine poles without societal conditioning. It's like how we're supposed to be man, woman, right? We don't have to do that. So we can be like, well, I feel like being a dude right now with my cock out and like ordering dinner, like, and then we just do it, right? It's like not a problem. But I see it. I would love for you to speak to how to this gender fluidity within a hetero relationship, and how does that show up, and how do you dance with it?
Well, I guess I just want to say that I feel that when we do enough work and we allow this embodiment of all that is, we recognize we're fucking everything.
Exactly.
we're all of it.
Right.
Once we just embody all of it, we roll with the frequency that's present. Right. So like if I see my partner go into an exquisite state of surrender in the bedroom,
right,
and I see him, like often he'll just be like sprawled out on the bed and just like really like sexy, maybe with clothes off or half off. and he's just so like relaxing, and I just get this like primal pounce in me.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I'm gonna fucking take him. Or like, I love to bite. Sometimes I even wake up in the morning and I just like, I, and I love smelling his armpits, and I'll smell him and then I'll bite him and then I'll talk to him really cute. So I'm like sexy and my inner child is out. You know, I'm like, baby, I love you and I bite you. A lot of it is once we take the make wrong out, the bad,
Right.
stupid, wrong on any part, we allow what's present to come alive. Not, and a lot of that is calibrating also with what's present externally.
Yeah.
Right. So like if he's in a straight like dom role and I feel him like ready to like come, I do notice that for me, then I'm like, oh, I'm going to modulate into more like relaxed, surrendered position.
Right.
So we are very, you know, gender fluid in that way. We're very switch oriented. And I think playing in those poles has been great. Like for instance, we had a date, a 3 hour, 4 hour date. I think it was a couple weeks ago, but we decided to play both with a strap on, you know, and so he went first and he just like really, and it was very, and we were in a way, like I would say it was in a dom place, but I was very much in a feminine attunement. Because like I was also very soft, very in my heart, but also, you know, a dom also calibrates to the sub. So
Totally.
sometimes that's a really like really attuned, soft feminine can be a feminine energy, especially with anal play. It's like you don't take a strap on and just like
No.
clutch
Please,
it.
yeah. Right. PSA, guys. Everyone who's watching, don't do that shit. Please. Slow.
And then we're like, let's switch, you know,
Right.
let's like play with this, you know, switch. And that was the play for the container that we wanted to explore, which allowed us to really play in those poles, but also to allow it for there to be like a real like soft sweetness like within that energy, even though, you know, we were in a DS dynamic, you know.
And I just, one thing I just want to presence and put out into reality here is that, like, as I'm sure people are hearing you, like you and Michael play, like you have containers of play, of games, right? Where you're like, let's do this thing. And it's so brilliant. I mean, I do the same thing, but it's like, I don't know why when we decided that like relationships have to be very serious and like pressure you all the time and like, oh my God, now I need to go into my I used to literally, when I would have a man over, I would literally be like, okay, I have to go feminine now. And I would like try to figure out how to be feminine in like the feminine pole. And I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna like take a bath and then I'm gonna like, okay, and like I gotta put like flowers everywhere. And oh my God, do I smell like roses? Right. Like it was really like I had to like, right. Instead of like now if I have a male lover over, it's like he'll come over and I'll say, like, I'm feeling this. Maybe it's I'm feeling really feminine. I want you to take the dominant pole and let's play with that. Or like, hey, I actually feel like kind of feisty. Like, can you get let me see you get cute and feminine. Can we do that? Right. And it's said, it's spoken, it's communicated, right? And then we can go from there. And it may, like, this happened the other day with my partner. The other day we both wanted to be in the feminine surrender, both of us. And we were like, cool. So we just laid down on the couch and like massaged each other with lotion. And I was like, nothing to do, nowhere to go. Let's just rock this out for like the next 3 hours. Like no one needs to move because it's spoken, right? And she could have said, oh, Genevieve wants to be in feminine, so like let me go into masculine. But it wasn't in alignment with her. And then she would have been resentful. And that I just love that you can have the conversation and really set it up to win. Make it a winning game. Make relationships a winning game.
Yes, and recognize our idea of what we set up may change. Right, like we could have this great idea, and that's the thing with energetic erotic energy. Like let's say for instance your partner is in super feisty mode, but then once they have 5 minutes of feisty they start crying,
Yeah.
you know. It's like it like literally it's like brought something out in them. Maybe they like, you know, maybe they were feisty and they pounced on you and they degraded you because you wanted that kind of stimulation of like, you know, ooh, you know, like, you know, just getting feisty in that way with words and wordplay. And they noticed like you got really vulnerable, and then they went into a place of like, oh shit, like did I do something wrong?
Mm-hmm.
They went into a little more like feminine, sort of retracted or like vulnerable place. Well, that's a different, that, you know, there it is, there's a shift in role there. And it's like, what's presently and currently happening, and how do we, as best as possible, not stay in a fixed position but attune to the calibration of the moment. And honestly, it takes practice.
Yeah.
It's not something that happens overnight, you know. It's to become fluid at these dynamics, it's about getting in and getting messy.
Mm-hmm. And there's something also really beautiful about, releasing all identity of self, right? And to just be willing to be like, yeah, actually, like I've never played in this pole. I don't, right? Instead of saying, oh, I don't do that, right? Or I don't hold that, or I don't want to do that, right? Like allowing that part to speak and hearing that part, and then also like removing everything that's not you so you can just be empty, right? Just be like this empty flow and let whatever emotions you're having come through, whatever emotions they're having come through, and just making it all okay. And sometimes okay looks like, hey, I gotta, like, let's take space, I can't do this right now, right? As well. So
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, Michael is a little bit more into like DS dynamics, like a
mhm,
little bit like more, a little more of that coming into this relationship. And so he, you know, set some containers where his whole thing is like he likes to like degrade and like tell me what to do, you know,
mhm,
set containers. And at first, like I was really triggering. I'm like, I don't think I can get around this, but
mm,
like as I would, he's like, you know, it would taught me a lot, like how do I actually lean into like totally being submissive and taking it. And I think there's a value in like exploring those edges where I'm like, wait, this is bad. Wait, okay, so I have a judgment there.
uh-huh,
How can I'm safe? I am safe. Like my partner actually does love me, but there's something I'm leaning into work out here, so I don't have a trigger around it, and I can actually submit because I know that my dom, you know, my partner's got me,
right,
you know? But he had to titrate. He kind of titrating with me.
yes.
You know, I'm like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's and we find the edges, we find the places, right? I was laughing, for me it's less sexually, we had a good laugh, my partner and I, because the container that we have set up right now is like, no kissing, right? Which my immediate reaction was like, ugh. But then I was like, wait, that's the primal part. For whatever reason, the kissing does the primal part, and I was like, cool, like great, beautiful, I don't need it, what the fuck is that anyway, I don't need to do that, right? Like, no big deal. But my edge was around commitment, right? And so we got a good laugh, she was on her way out and she's like, you should just give me some keys, right? So I could just, and I was like, nah, like that's just as much of an edge for me as like you with the like, I'm not ready there, like I don't even want to see what your name is on the internet, like that's like the level. And so like just letting ourselves be, and like the laughter of it, right? Of like, hilarious that these are where our edges are that we haven't explored. Amazing that we get to explore it, right? And that we get to do it. It's just, I think a lot of people, a lot of my clients, a lot of people think relationships are like this, like, okay, lock it down, now you have it, it's this stagnant boxed thing. And then there's nothing. I mean, look, nothing's happening anyway. But like, if we're in a relationship, we might as well play the game of perceived growth, like, right? Like, understanding that both of us are already whole. So we might as well play this fun game of like, where are the edges? Like, where can we go? Um, yeah.
I love it. I love it. And it's really beautiful to hear like the stuff that's coming up for you, and dance with this beautiful sacred mirror. And we get to kind of wrap around some of the edges that are both coming up for us, which I think is a good modeling. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
it's so helpful for people out there to be like, oh, I'm not fucked up. Like I have this kind of edge too, or yeah, like commitment is a big edge for me. Like to not make it bad or wrong, but to be like, that's a big edge for me. You know, my sovereignty is important. Like, I don't want to lose my sovereignty. Like, my purpose is important. My kids matter, and so I want to feel more protective here.
Yeah.
You know, or for her, she's like, you know, having that level of inclusion and commitment and like is helping me feel more safe.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, it's really so fun, and it's to think of relating like you're, I don't know, you're like you're on the volleyball court and you're like, okay, I'm gonna throw my shit back and you're gonna throw, and we're just gonna like right, and every once in a while someone will drop the ball and then we're like, I got it, right, and it's that energy rather than like let's just sit and stare at each other and like it's very different, which is just stunning. It's beautiful. Yeah. Anything else arising for you around like any open relating or gender fucking playing kinky stuff, taboo life? um
I think one of the things that's coming up big is in whether you're relating with a play partner, a lover, or a partner, whatever your relational style is to actually create containers where you literally are going to drop into some level of intimacy,
yes.
and to have it scheduled in, and then have, and then maybe, you know, drop in, and also more time that might be a little bit more fluid time, you know. So you might have a certain specific idea, like this is actually time where we're going to explore intimacy, like a like Michael called it, he's like, I really want to have a sexploration date week, and I'm like, ooh, how does that work?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then having a container where it might not be sex, but it's just, let, this is free organic time off device,
Hmm.
off work, off device. And I have to tell you, it's fucking hard. Because we're so inspired in our purpose and work, it just comes in so naturally. And we're learning to have better boundaries all the time. And so I want to say that to the viewers is create scheduled time with intention for sex, love, and intimacy, and then create scheduled time during your week where it's more fluid and you're going to see what, like what naturally wants to arrive, which can happen in both containers, but one can be a more like sex, love, sex and intimacy focus.
Yeah.
Maybe we're going to dive into touch, or maybe we're going to dive into, you know, a certain level of play that's going to bring more pleasure here. And then time where it's like, you know what, I think we need to go out in nature together,
Right.
you know, or I'm really feeling like, you know, just more off time to also be.
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird, but scheduled off time to be.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's amazing. I do something that Jaya taught me, which I love. We've been doing it since the beginning. Is adventure dating, which is so fun. So an adventure date, you I don't get to the last adventure date. I didn't get to know anything about what was going on, where we were going. Um, we use each other's blueprint, or we use where we want to expand into. Right. So my blueprint is an energetic. So I love like nature, and I love like stillness and silence, and like fuck yeah, like all that stuff. Like thank God, right, when that happens. So anyway, I had no concept of anything. She picks me up. There's flowers. The whole night was her driving the whole, like, right, leading the whole thing. I could fully just release into that. I'm doing next Saturday, and I've already got like, right. And so, and it's fun because you're adding in intrigue, you're adding in mystery, you're adding in like, oh, we're going to take something out of our normal regimen, right, and throw this in there, and it's making me really focus on how can I like uplift this human, right? Versus like, I just want you around because you're comfortable, right? Which is, I think people fall into that. This is literally like, what can I do to serve and uplift her being and her essence? And it's fun. I mean, it's a really delicious. So I highly, the three components of adventure dates for anyone who wants to try it. You have to make sure that it's a secret, so mystery. Obstacle, so make it difficult in some way. Either you have to find a clue, or there's like I had to go to Brooklyn, like, which is way outside of where I am. Like some sort of obstacle where you're, so that when you get there, you're like, wow, I just already went on a journey and I'm out of my norm, right? And then let's see, mystery, obstacle, and novelty. So something you haven't done before.
I love this. I absolutely love this. You know, Michael recently said, "What's one thing that you want to do with me? What's one crazy thing you'd like to do with me?" And I said, "I'd love to create a journey of a romance of a love poem, and for us to write it." So journey somewhere and have it be the mystery of a love affair that unravels. And he's like, I'm already thinking of places. And so absolutely novelty, mystery, and the challenge. I love that. And I really also support for people to do that in any relational configuration, and especially in mono configurations, because
Yes.
you really get that sense of, I'm working with a couple that's been together for 18 years, and they're coming out, I worked with them, and they're coming out to an event I'm doing, which is an erotic event. So it'll be their first erotic event. And so but she's her leaning into the edge of, wanting to move into exploring with women. They haven't opened their container, but this is a big jump for them.
Yeah.
And they're coming all the way in from Michigan. So obstacle,
right.
we kind of don't know what's going to happen. Novelty, shit. They're like,
yeah, they're right in it. Yeah. yeah. And to fill your life with that, right? How much can we fill our own lives with that and be, I mean, you and I are great at sovereignty, but why not just throw that in, So to just, people, by the way, are loving this, and thank you guys for comments. And I'm like looking and everyone's like, yes. A bunch of people are asking what titration is. Do you want to drop a quick hint as to what titration means?
Titration is calibrating. I like the word calibrate.
Yeah.
Calibrating to the energetic attunement with what's present between either two beings, or it could be group play. So to what's present in the field. Mm-hmm. Usually it's with two, titrating. They talk a lot about, we can do it with our own energy. So how to move with our own eros and erotic energy, how to work with the undulations, undulations of energetic flow.
Yeah, totally. And I like to think of it as like watching the natural state of expansion and contraction, and just like, right. And you're just riding that wave of like, ooh, we're expanding. Ooh, they're about to break. Just kidding. Let's move back a little bit so they don't contract too tight. Right. Let's like you're just, don't pull the fucking rubber band all the way out. Just a little time. Right. With everything, sex, love, all relational stuff. So I hope that helped. Even conflict. Yeah.
Like there are people that process shit to death, and it's like, triggered. It's not the time. Like,
right.
Pulling in.
yeah, like wait. I like to do this thing where I drop bombs at like midnight. That's my thing. And so I'm learning how to titrate that of like, all right, we're gonna drop the bomb, like maybe a bit of the bomb at 10, and then I'm gonna sleep on it, and then I'll like give you more of the bomb at 9 o'clock. So we're not like not all of it at midnight, but
huge. I remember Michael dropped a big thing. He wanted to process something about like an open relating thing, and we did it over the phone. I'm like, babe, this is an in-person touching experience.
Yeah, totally.
Think about this when we're touching. And he's like, oh shit. And then he didn't know I needed that or wanted that. And then I went past my own boundary, and then but we learned from it. There was a rupture. Established what we needed, and then committed to the agreement. Any conflictual stuff, we talk when we're in person, hopefully as best as possible, and we're
touching. Totally. I'm the same. I need to see eyeballs. Need eyeballs. Can't do without eyeballs. I like your eyeballs. So where can people find you? Because I'm sure they all fell in love with you. So tell them before we end.
Well, I want to tell people I'm super excited. I'm just going to titillate people a little with a tickle, a little here. I have something really amazing I'm launching at the end of September, actually on September 28th. And so I just want to say, stay close to my page, stay close to my Facebook page, because this is something I think it's literally going to support all curious relators and open relators. So let's say you're mono, but you're curious. And this is going to be something that's going to immediately give you some support in helping you to understand, well, what is this and where do I land? If I could kind of imagine right now, what is my ideal open love style? And so it's really amazing, and it's going to be free. And so just, it's going to be amazing and free. So hang out. My best thing is hang out on my page. You can follow me, and it's going to be September 28th. I'm launching that. And then
I'm in, girl. I'm in.
Yeah. I have one personal opening for a client right now. So I work, usually sometimes between a 3 and 6 month spectrum, depending on what wants to be created, specifically with feminine identified beings, to help them to template what they want in love, sex, and intimacy, and how to take off the roadblocks, the limits, the conditioning, the bullshit, and how to actually create that on their terms.
Freedom. Amazing.
So you can find me on Facebook. That's the best way. Find me on Facebook. I'm currently in a remodel on heartninja.net. But if you go there, you'll see my last women's program.
Awesome. You're amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. I absolutely adore you. I love it. I love everything you're doing.
New York, California, like time
Fuck
travel.
yeah. Fuck yeah. Here we go. And it just makes me happy to know you exist. And thank you for being here. And we'll drop into all of you guys asking questions throughout the day. Thanks for watching, everyone. And big love to everyone. Yeah.
I also want to say, I'm having Genevieve on my.
Yes. Oh, right.
Next Friday. I think it's next Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, somewhere around that time. We'll let you know. So stay close to our pages. And we'll continue this conversation and go deeper. So if there's specifically a nugget that you're like, I want to know more about that, write it in the comments and maybe we'll just touch on it next week.
Yeah, yes, thank you. Yes, we are doing that. So I know you guys want more. That's what happens. So we're going to do a part 2. Everyone wants more.
Thank you so much, love. It's such a pleasure and honor to be with you today.
Thank you. Bye.